There are so many things that make the Netherlands special.
We are on a quest to experience as much of it as possible while visiting our daughter who lives here and taking Cassandra's father, who's from the Cayman Islands, on the European trip of a lifetime. This is our Netherlands story about our explorations and our family's connections with this beautiful land. Hi everybody, I'm Scott.
And I'm Cassandra.
So welcome back to our 6th episode of our Netherlands story, where we go to the beautiful city of Gouda, and we became cheese masters.
Yep, got mine. Very proud of this.
So in Gouda, we learned a lot about the history of cheese making and the cheese trade in the Netherlands. And I also want to show you that this cheese right here, spelled Gouda, is pronounced Gouda. And it's named after the city of Gouda, which is where the traditional cheese trade started in about the year 1198.
So Gouda has always been one of our favorite types of cheeses, but it is so much more delicious if you get to taste a variety of Gouda cheese produced in the Netherlands. And we had the opportunity to do this at something called the Gouda Cheese Experience. It is unlike anything we've ever been to. It's very close. It's a very short walk from the train station, and it's in the city center. So very easy to get to. And it is an interactive museum and cheese tasting experience. So I recommend if you visit Gouda for the day, there are lots of things that you could do, but if you happen to be visiting between April and August, I wanted to mention that you could also go on a Thursday when the cheese market is set up in the market square. But we were there in October. We missed the cheese market, but we had a lot of fun, and the people were so genuinely nice. Another thing you could do when you visit, there's also opportunities to visit a cheese farm just outside the city center. And so maybe next time we go, we could try that. Yeah. But we're going to show you all the fun we had at the Gouda Cheese Experience.
It was a short, easy train ride from Utrecht Centraal to Gouda. On the intercity train, the ride was less than 20 minutes. We arrived at the Gouda station in the late morning and had a beautiful day for the short walk toward the city center. It's only about a 10-minute walk to the Central Markt, and our plan was to head in that direction, but to stop first at an attraction called the Cheese Experience. On the way toward town, we happened upon a stroopwafel vending machine. This is called the stroopwafelmeer van Marcus, or the syrup waffle wall by Marcus. This is the smaller of two stroopwafel walls in Gouda. A larger one, with 286 compartments, is located just southeast of the city square. The stroopwafel was actually invented in Gouda in the late 18th or 19th century, and the Kamphausen stroopwafel factory in the city still uses the same recipe for these treats as has been used since 1810.
After that short break, we continued walking toward town, taking in the beautiful colors at the start of the fall season and enjoying the easy walkability of the city. We walked past a quiet canal that was so tranquil that the reflections of the sky and surrounding buildings were just spectacular. Straight ahead, we saw the main shopping street, Kleiweg, or Clay Street, which does not allow automobile traffic and makes for a very easy walk straight towards the city market. We turned left here, however, because our first stop was 2 streets over, called the Agnietenstraat. We would walk along the Kleiweg on the way back. We finally saw a large yellow building with giant windows, and we could see cheese stacked on shelves inside. We knew that this could be none other than the Cheese Experience attraction that we planned as our first stop. On the corner was a beautiful statue of a woman carrying a cheese wheel. This is one of many similar statues of female cheesemakers scattered throughout the city, created for the 750th anniversary of Gouda in 2022.
The cheese experience entrance was hard to miss, and after taking a few quick photos outside, we soon found ourselves immersed in a cheese wonderland. Part of the cheese experience was to do a scavenger hunt, finding specific items and pieces of information and collecting stamps to complete our Cheese Master worksheet. You saw our Cheese Master pins at the beginning of the video, so you know that we successfully completed the quest. The first part of the cheese experience tour was all about where milk comes from. There was a detailed display and video showing what happens to grass that is ingested by a cow and how it is processed in the four-chambered stomach to ultimately provide the nutrients to the cow that fuels milk production. Cassandra's dad loved this display and recorded the entire process on the Papa Cam.
There were many facts and educational displays throughout this room, and it was clearly designed to grab the attention of both children and adults. We learned a lot about what cows eat, how much they eat, how much milk they produce, how much cheese that milk can produce, and many other bits of information. A highlight for us was a milking station where we could milk an electronic cow that seemed very much like the real thing. My dad and I both gave this a try, and although he milked real cows when he was younger, I think we both enjoyed this experience much more than the real thing. Scott had the very important job of videographer, so unfortunately, he could not try his hand at milking. You got it now. After learning about milk production, we went into the cheese room where we learned about the steps involved in making Gouda cheese. This was very well done, with fun interactive displays with videos, detailed information, and 3D models showing how each step is accomplished.
Finally, we had completed cheese wheels ready for trading at the cheese market. There were many things to explore throughout this room, and one could spend a very long time in here just taking in all of the details and learning as much as possible. After learning about making cheese, we walked into a cheese warehouse where mirrors made it look like an immense room filled with hundreds of racks of cheese ready for trading. This was the perfect place for a group photo. We then walked through a fun area with activities for children and young-hearted adults like us. A highlight of this was a hand slap simulator, because at the traditional Dutch market in the Gouda city square, farmers and cheese merchants would slap each other's hands when working on and then finalizing a negotiated price for the cheese. This tradition can still be observed at the weekly cheese market near the Gouda town hall.
Next, it was time to observe some parts of these cheese trading traditions. We went into a room with historical artwork and photos, and then we had the opportunity to step into historical Gouda by dressing in traditional attire and having our photo taken in front of the backdrop of the town hall and cheese market. You can see that I really enjoyed getting all dressed up, and so did my dad. Scott, again, was a photographer and videographer, but I think he enjoyed watching us more than dressing up himself. They have a convenient camera set up here, and you can just tap a credit card, go stand or sit in the frame, and it will automatically take a perfect photo. Since Scott wasn't participating though, he took photos for us with his own camera.
Then came the true highlight of the cheese experience, the cheese tasting event. We were taken into a quiet room where there was a wooden box at each seat with a fine selection of Gouda cheeses, from the robust tasting oude kaas, or old cheese, to the mild, soft jonge kaas, or young cheese. These were accompanied by a sweet mustard sauce and water, and there was a video explaining each type of cheese that we were tasting. After tasting cheeses, we exited into a cafe, and we thought that it would be the perfect place to have lunch. Some of us decided to have poffertjes, but I went for the oude kaas sandwich, which was absolutely delicious. There was a map in the corner of the cafe where guests were encouraged to insert a pin in the location that they are from. There were so many pins here that Cassidy had a difficult time finding the Cayman Islands, where he is from, and I had trouble finding the spot in Florida where Cassandra and I are from. We did our best though, and then we signed the guest book next to the map. I think I got Florida in there.
During our time at the Cheese Experience, all of the staff were extremely friendly and made us feel very welcome. We even met one of the owners while we were in the cafe. Her name is Mia, and she was so warm and welcoming that we felt like we were part of her family. She and my dad became fast friends, exchanging stories and taking a photo together. She then generously took a photo of all of us together, carrying our cheese wheels like professionals. Mia and her staff really made this an amazing experience for us, and we hope that you also get a chance to visit them at the Gouda Cheese Experience. We left the Cheese Experience with full bellies and smiles on our faces, and then walked south towards the market in the city center. It was an easy walk, about 400 meters, and a total of about 6 minutes. There were several shops and restaurants along the way, even though we were not on the main shopping street. Soon we saw the famous Gouda Stadhuis, or City Hall, in the distance.
The traditional cheese market is still held at the City Plaza every Thursday in mid-April through August from 10 a.m. until 12:30 p.m. Here, when the cheese is weighed and farmers and merchants agree on a price, they do the traditional handjeklap. There are also folk bands playing music and plenty of cheese samples at this popular event. We were here in October, so unfortunately we didn't get to see this traditional event, but it is certainly something that we will come back to Gouda to see in the future. The Gouda Stadhuis was built between 1449 and 1459 and is the oldest Gothic city hall in the Netherlands. Before it was built, a devastating fire in 1438 destroyed much of Gouda, and after that happened, the town council decided to rebuild the town hall as a freestanding structure. Several renovations were made to the Stadhuis in 1960 to 1961, with the addition of several statues of historic figures on the outside, and the addition of a carillon, which are bells that are played with a keyboard.
Behind the Stadhuis stands the distinctive tower of St. Janskerk, or St. John's Church. This church holds the title for the longest church in the Netherlands, at 123 meters in length. The current form of the church was built after 1552 when a fire destroyed the original church. As part of the Stadhuis renovation in 1960 to 1961, mechanical puppets were added that perform on the side of the building while music is playing. The main character in this performance is Floris V, who granted city rights to Gouda in 1272. The show occurs on every hour and half hour and proceeds for about 2 minutes. Our last stop was at the original Cheese Weighhouse building, which stands directly across from the Stadhuis. This building was completed in 1668, and the ground floor is now a museum and shop that provides information to visitors. It was a perfect place to end our short visit to Gouda, but we will certainly be coming back to this beautiful historic city.
In our next episode, we go to the Open Air Museum in the city of Arnhem, Netherlands, where we show you some of the best ways to learn about Dutch history and culture. We had a beautiful day here with gorgeous fall colors. We learned how poffertjes, or mini pancakes, are made, and ate some too. We saw several windmills used for different types of industries, played with some very fluffy sheep, had a chance to climb up into another windmill, learned about traditional Dutch buildings and farms, saw some beautiful gardens, and had a blast playing traditional Dutch outdoor games. This is such a fun place to visit away from the busier cities. Please click the subscribe button below to follow along, and click the video links to see some of our other content. See you in the next episode.